crochet friends, and welcome back to the Stitch Sessions. Karen here, and I have a fun stitch tutorial for you guys this week. It is the connected spiral stitch, and I just found it so interesting. I'm not quite sure why it's called the connected spiral. These are cluster stitches that tend to kind of lean on an angle there. So perhaps because it leans this way and it leans this way and this way, maybe that's the connection and it looks like it's spiraling. I'm not quite sure, but it's very pretty. I used a medium 4-weight yarn for this little sample here, but I think if you used like a lightweight number 3 or even a number 2, it could be very lacy and light and pretty. Or you can use like a bulky weight 5 and create something that's nice and cushy and cozy. And I think it'll be very, very cool. Now, all you really need to know is how to do a double crochet stitch. And what we do is we create a bunch of double crochets without resolving them, and we cluster them together. So if you've ever done a cluster stitch, this uses something called a cluster 4. And that means we're gonna take 4 stitches and we're gonna cluster them together into one. And by the way, if you've never done a regular cluster stitch, I do have a stitch tutorial on how to do that stitch, and I'll leave it linked for you in the description box down below in case you're curious. So this uses the cluster 4, and then it's got a bunch of chain 3s. It is a 1-row repeat, believe it or not. And so it looks the same on the front as it does on the back. And then once you get the hang of getting into row 2, 3, 4, 5, the rest of the rows are really, really nice and easy. So I say, let's just get to it. Okay, so for this tutorial, I'm just going to be using a medium 4-weight yarn. It's just a little bit of leftover yarn I've got going on here. And the hook size is just going to be a 5mm hook, which is known as an H or a size 8, for those of you that go by those labels. And anytime you're working on a project, make sure that you have a pair of scissors and a yarn needle on hand to weave in your ends. So let's get to the stitch. So we're going to begin by placing a slip knot on our hook, and this stitch is done in multiples of 3, and then you will add 5 more chains at the end. So you're just going to do 3, 6, 9, 12, etc. until you get your desired length, and then you will add an additional 5 at the end. So I'm just going to do a few sets here. And I think I'm going to do 15. So I've got 6 here, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So that's 5 sets of 3. And then I'm going to add 5 more at the end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 3 of these are going to count as a double crochet, and 2 of these are going to count as skipped stitches, which you're going to see in a moment. So once you have your desired number of length, you add an additional 5, and then we're ready to begin row number 1. So what we're going to do is we are going to find the 6th chain from your hook. So remember, we never count this loop that's on the hook. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And into this 6th chain, we're going to place a double crochet. Just like that. Okay. So we've got 3 of these chains that counts as a double crochet. The 4th one is usually the chain that the stitch sits on, and then your 5th one is a skipped stitch. So here's where the fun begins. We're now going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And next we are going to work a cluster 4 stitch. So this means we're going to cluster 4 stitches into one. And we're going to use all double crochets. So what's going to happen here is we're actually going to work around the post of this double crochet. So I'll show you what I mean. So you're going to yarn over and insert your hook so that you go around that post to pull up a loop. okay? And then yarn over and pull through 2, just like you're gonna start a normal double crochet. Okay, so you've got 2 loops on the hook, and that is where we leave it. So then we yarn over and go into that space again to create a second double crochet. So you pull through 2, but again, we are not gonna resolve that stitch. So now we have 3 loops on the hook. And we're gonna do that one more time. So you're gonna yarn over, go into the space, go around the post, pull up a loop, pull through 2 only, and now you have 3 double crochet stitches that have not been resolved. So they're halfway done, but you've got 4 loops on the hook. Now we need 1 more of these in order to create our cluster 4, but there is going to be something a little different. Instead of going around this post, we are now going to go back into our chain length here. So you're going to skip 2 chains, 1 and 2, and into the 3rd one, you will begin that 4th double crochet. So you're going to insert your hook and pull up a loop. You'll pull through the first 2. So now you have 4 double crochets that are not resolved, but you have 5 loops on your hook. Now you will yarn over and pull through all 5 of those loops. And here you have clustered 4 stitches into 1. And that's basically our cluster 4 stitch. So then we will repeat what we just did. So after you've done a cluster, you will always chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And then we are going to work around the post of the 4th stitch. So we're going to work right around here. So we're going to do a cluster 4 stitch right here. So they really attach one to the other. So we go into that space, we begin the first double crochet, we begin the second double crochet, and then we begin the 3rd double crochet. Okay, so we have 3 unresolved stitches, 4 loops on the hook, and now we're going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and into the 3rd one is where we're going to place the 4th or the start of the 4th stitch. And then this will be the post, the next post that we will work around when we start the next stitch. So we've got 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 5 of them, and your cluster 4 has been complete. So you always have that cluster 4, and then you've got these chain 3s on the top. So it kind of creates a little slant to your cluster. So let's do it again. I know in the first row, it can always be a little wonky because you've got this chain that you're dealing with here. So we're going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to go and work around this post here. Okay, so you're going to do 3 double crochets that are unresolved. There's 1. Always pull through 2. There's 2. And then here's our 3rd one. Okay, 3 stitches. And now I'm going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, into the 3rd one. I will begin that 4th double crochet. Okay, so as always, 5 loops on the hook, pull through all 5. Okay, now you can kind of see that it's starting to form a proper row. So I'm just going to take you to the end here so you can see how we end off. So we chain 3 again, 2 and 3, and we always work around the last post created. So we have the first, the second, and the 3rd. And then, as usual, we skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and into the 3rd, we start our double crochet. Okay, and then we pull through all 5. Okay, and then we are going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, and 3. Work around this post here. I know you're thinking, oh, we've only got a couple stitches left, what's happening? But you're gonna see that this stitch will take you right to the end of your row. So we have 2, and then we have 3. And now the fourth one, all we're gonna do here is we're gonna skip 1 stitch and we're gonna place a double crochet into the last one, or the beginnings of a double crochet. So we have pull through 2, 5 loops, yarn over, pull through all of them, and you have completed row number 1. So you can see that the end of this last cluster, see, because the clusters are designed to tilt, this stitch here acts as the edge of that row. So since I used 15 stitches plus 5, and we're working in sets of 3, I have 3 sets of I have 5 sets of clusters, and this should remain constant through subsequent rows. So this is the stitch. This is how you begin and end. Now I'm going to take you on to row number 2, because you will now have sections to work into. So you won't necessarily have to count the number of stitches. So I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to go on to row number 2, and what you're going to do is you are going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and turn your work. And at the beginning of a row, this chain 3 always counts as a double crochet stitch. And then what we're going to do is we are going to double crochet into the chain 3 space. So we are going to go into that space and double crochet. So at the beginning of the row, we always have to put one full double crochet, so we have a post to work around, okay? And then we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we work our cluster 4. So we come back and we work around this initial post. So as always, we yarn over and begin our partial double crochet stitches. So we always put 3 of them around the post. And then the fourth one now is super easy. We just simply go into the next chain 3 space, which is right there, to create our 4th stitch. Pull through 2, and now yarn over and pull through all 5. And there you go. So you've got, and the clusters should sit one on top of the other, but you can see this one leans this way and this one leans this way, and that's because we've turned our work. So then you will chain 3 again, 1, 2, and 3. And now you have a leaning post here, I like to call it, to work around. So then you would just work again your cluster 4. I'm just going to go a little faster here because I think you guys get the gist. And then when I do my 4th one, I go into the next chain space. So you see, now it's really easy. You just work into chain spaces. So we've got 5 loops, yarn over, and pull through all 5. See that? So I am going to go and work till the end, and I'll just come back up just to show you how to work the very end of these chain stitches of row number 2. Okay, so I've just finished my 4th cluster, and I've technically worked into the last chain space, and you're thinking, I know the row's not done. Where do I go from here? So I am going to work around this post as usual. I'm going to chain my 3, 1, 2, 3. Remember that we have to have 5 clusters in each row. With my particular stitch count, we only have 4. So we're going to begin as usual. So we have the first, the second, the third, and now the 4th stitch in this cluster is going to get placed at the top of your 3 chains. So in this case, it's going to be right there. I'm going to pull through 2. So I have 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 5. And that is how we complete the row. Now, this was technically the chain 5 of our row 1. Okay, so do I have 5 clusters? Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you should have 5 sets of chain 3s at the top, okay? And then when we turn our work, we will work the last bit into the top of this chain 3. So you begin all rows the same. So if we go on to row number 3, so this is just a 1 row repeat. So we're going to repeat exactly what we just did. So we always start with a chain 3. We turn our work, place our first double crochet into the chain 3, chain space, chain 3, and then we begin our cluster 4. Okay, so I think you get the gist now. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to meet you at the end of this row because we will have a proper chain 3 to work into and not a chain 5 here. Just so those of you that are a little newer, and even if you're not newer, if you're new to this stitch, I think it'll help clarify things. So I'm just going to finish my clusters here, and then I'm going to meet up with you at the end of row number 3. Okay, so I've just finished my 4th cluster. Now I'm going to do my 5th one. So I still have that post I work around. 1, 2, 3. And here is where we go, where do I work the 4th stitch? And this is where you look at this chain 3 that you started your row with. Remember when we did that chain 3 at the beginning? That is where you go into. You find the top of that 3rd chain, and sometimes I turn around so I can find it, 1, 2, and 3. It's right at the top here. Sometimes it gets hidden. And that is where I will place that 4th stitch, or the beginning of the 4th stitch. Did I yarn over? No, I did not. So I find the top of that 3rd chain. Okay, and then I finish my cluster as usual. And there we go. So going into that 3rd chain really allows that 5th cluster to have some structure. And there you have it. And then as usual, I would start chain 3. So that is the connected spiral stitch. So you see it's leaning this way, then it's leaning this way, and it's leaning that way. So it's, you just have to focus on what you're doing, but it's not difficult, I would say. I think the most challenging thing is this first row and making sure that you pay attention to which stitches you're working into. But I kind of like it. It's, depending on the yarn weight you use, it can be really cozy and cushy. Or if you use a lighter weight yarn, you can have something that's almost got a little bit of an airiness effect to it, like maybe for a lightweight shawl or something like that. Yeah, so let me know what you're going to use this stitch for. I've been thinking a lot about it, and I'm not quite sure. I mean, definitely this gives me shawl or scarf vibes, but maybe you're going to get inspired to make something else with it. So let me know. Leave a comment for us down below. I always love it when all of our crochet friends inspire each other on projects and inspiration and things like that. So make sure to do that. Now, if you have any further detailed questions about this stitch, you can always leave that for me in the comment box down below. And I know a lot of you do like to email me directly, so feel free to do that. You can email me at info@crochetcrafty.com, and I'm very happy to answer your questions. Now, sometimes it might take me a little while to get back to you. I just kind of get inundated every once in a while, but I do eventually get back to you. So I hope that you don't ever feel that I have ignored you. And sometimes emails get buried. So don't be shy to send me another email if you find that a lot of time has gone by. I really, really do try to respond to all of my emails and all of my comments here. And as always, come visit me on the website, crochetcrafty.com. It is a great resource for a lot of fabulous crochet tools like sizing charts if you're doing garments, suggestions to help you along the way. There's also a page where you can find a whole bunch of free written patterns, as well as a link to my Etsy shop for other written patterns as well. And if you're on Facebook or Instagram, make sure you come say hi to me and tag me in any of the projects that you crochet. I always enjoy connecting with you guys, so make sure to do that. And that's it for this week's tutorial. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Happy crocheting. Take really good care of yourselves as always. And I'll see you guys in next week's session. Bye-bye.